What's happening, Pod Squad? Welcome in to an episode of the Stripe It Like It's Hot podcast. Thank you for listening or watching today. Please support the show because we love all of the support. It really does help. Like, people say that. It's true. Like, comment, subscribe, share. If you enjoy it, just put a comment and tell us what you like, what you don't like. Tell Matt he's doing a good job, okay? He's got a fragile ego. He wants to know he's doing good. Speaking of employees with fragile ego, just joking, Matt, that's not you. This is what today's episode is going to be about. When you have employees who do not perform to the level you want them to perform. Again, this is not you, Matt, you're good. This is super common, and I wanted to get this on a podcast episode sooner in the season than later because we're entering into what most people's busy season is, right? This is going to come out in May, and regardless of where you are, that is the busy season. So a lot of business owners right now have employees, or maybe you're listening and you're thinking about hiring employees. Maybe you have got one, or maybe you got 10. Inevitably, it's going to happen, okay? And if you have multiple employees, you're probably in this position right now where you have an employee who is not performing or delivering to the level that you expect them to, right? Now, there's ways that you can solve this, okay? Here's what most business owners do in the pavement industry in particular, okay? They found a business, then they hire people, employees don't perform as well as they want, and business owner freaks out, gets super upset and goes, oh my goodness, you can't hire anyone because nobody works anymore. And then they fire people and then they try it again and they go through this vicious cycle where they're just mad that employees aren't that good. And it doesn't even dawn on them that possibly you're setting these employees up to fail. Now, not every employee is going to succeed. Obviously, no matter how good somebody is in an interview, there's going to be times where you just make a bad hiring decision. But the point of this episode is I'm going to give you the simplest of simple ways to evaluate your talent in your company, specifically if you're having a problem with an employee not doing their job. If they're not delivering the thing that you want them to do, whether that's striping a parking lot or working in an office or uploading your social media, whatever it is, I guarantee you this simple thing will help you, okay? So I got this idea first and foremost from a book that I haven't even read, okay? I have not read this book. It's an older book. It's called High Output Management. It's written by Andy Grove. So big premise of this book, though, is he says there's only two reasons why an employee isn't performing the way you want them to. They're either not motivated or they don't have the skills. So either way, like, that's your job as a boss, is to motivate and train your people. Now, fundamentally, I agree with that 100%. The moment you hire employees, like, that's literally your job. You like help them, train them, give them the skills to succeed. Where I kind of disagree with it, though, a little bit is the motivation part, and I'm going to get into that and why. But there's also a further level to this that I read a lot of Alex Hormozy's stuff. I watch his content. I love his stuff. And he put out a video years ago about this very thing. And he said there's a third thing that can happen sometimes with your employees is that they don't know that they're supposed to be doing it a certain way, or they don't have the awareness that they're supposed to be doing their job that way. So with that in mind, here's today's episode. The employee triangle of truth. I suppose that's what I'm going to call it. The employee triangle of truth. Matt, that's a pretty catchy title. You like that? Yeah. Okay. Triangle of truth. So what it is, the way I picture it in my brain, is a triangle with 3 points on it. Obviously, that's what a triangle is. And each of these points represents one of the possible 3 reasons why your employee is not delivering to the level you want them to. And I would like fight anyone on this. I think you can boil it down to one of these 3 things every single time. Maybe 20 years from now, 10 years from now, or 5 years from now, I'll have a different opinion because maybe I've learned something along the way. But truthfully, I don't see it. I'm pretty confident. One of these 3 things is the reason why your employee is not delivering to the level that you want them to, okay? So, triangle. We'll start at the bottom left. In my brain, this is how I picture it. Skills. If your employee does not have the skills to do their job, you're going to be annoyed. Obviously. So you hire someone to paint parking lots, And they said on their resume and on their job interview that, oh yeah, I've painted parking lots. Man, I've been striping for like 5 years. I know my stuff. And the first time you send them out to the job, they have no idea how to run the machine. They don't know how to calibrate a laser. They mix the paint properly. They don't know how to adjust the width of the line. They use the wrong spray tip. Like, you would just be so annoyed, right? You'd probably fire that person on the spot. Well, at least you should, because that person has led you to believe they have the skills. And then the moment they go to a job, they clearly demonstrate that they don't have the skills. And that's a lot different than if you hired someone who clearly said to you, I don't know how to do this. I've never done this before. I need someone to show me. Okay. So that's like the range right there. I have the skills. I have no skills. I need to be taught. Now, as Andy Grove wrote in his book, which I still haven't, I got to read this book. That is an employer's job, man. If you're the boss, if you're the leader, train your people, right? You can't be annoyed that somebody isn't doing their job correctly and they don't have enough skills if you haven't trained them. And if you don't know how to train them, then you have to get them the training somewhere else. So how does this manifest itself in a pavement maintenance business? Striping, seal coating, paving, patching, whatever. The way it manifests itself is employers hire somebody, often with little to no experience, and they train them on the basics, okay? So if you've ever hired someone for striping, you know that you can teach someone relatively quick how to restripe a parking lot. They're not going to be perfect, and they're not going to know a lot of the advanced skills, and they're not, there are going to be little tricks they learn along the way, but they could get the basics down really quick. And then sometimes what happens is you get this employee who learns the basics, and you're all pumped as a business owner, and then you send them out on a slightly more complicated job, and they poop the bed because they don't know how to do the more complicated work. Maybe it's a new layout, or maybe it's got, radius lines they didn't have before, or maybe the asphalt's like super bumpy, and so they didn't make adjustments and put the gun backwards to account for the bumpy asphalt. Like, something comes up, and often what happens with business owners is they get annoyed, man, which is crazy to me. Like, they get annoyed that their employee didn't know how to solve that problem. Like, you've been striping for 2 months. How come you didn't know to, flip the gun backwards? Or how come you didn't know like how to equally lay out the stalls in a branch of center line? Like, crazy stuff. Because they don't have the skills. So once in a while, if you are a good boss, a good employer, and you're good at training and you provide the skills for your people, once in a while, you will get an employee who, despite being shown how to do things, ideally you have procedures and documents to help them, they still just don't get it. And if you do, it really sucks, but you might have to let someone go because they have a legitimate skill deficiency. Like, this person just simply can't get it. Like, or maybe they get it, but they work the pace of a snail because they're just so slow. Sometimes that's legitimate. I guarantee you the majority of the time, overwhelming majority of the time, that is not the case. Your people aren't dumb. They don't have the skills because you haven't provided the right environment or the right training for them to learn it. So how do you fix it? Simple. Number one, use a really simple training framework that you can repeat over and over and over. So one of the things that I would highly recommend, and I've struggled with this, but I think it's a great method when you do it. It's show the person how to do a thing based on a procedure. Okay, that's step one. So basically, if you're training an office person how to file away emails in your email correctly, right? Write out a procedure for what that looks like, literally, like in a document on paper. And then you show them while they are holding the document, saying this is how you do it. So you can do this for striping parking lots, setting up on a job site, whatever it is, document it. And then show them while they're looking at the document. That's going to impress on them that, like, what I'm seeing the boss do, I can literally see it on the paper here. That way, one day in the future, if they're ever stuck in what to do, they can just consult the paper, right? So you show them, and then eventually, whether that's the next time you do it or later that day or maybe a week from now, whatever the appropriate time frame is, you let them do it. So you don't do the thing. You just stand there with the checklist or the procedure, and you make sure that they're doing it step by step by step. Now, obviously, it kind of goes without saying, this only works if you, as the business owner, follow the procedure. If you're not going to follow your own procedure, your own checklist, good luck trying to train people and not be annoyed when they can't figure out how to do it. Like, you have to give training and skills on the foundation of a document or a video or some sort of training process that can easily be read and understood by someone in the 5th grade. And that's how you train the skill. So if you were to do that, you probably, the majority of the time, are going to increase the level of skill that your employee has, allowing them to do their job, which makes you as the business owner a lot more comfortable and confident and not annoyed that they're not figuring out how to do it. Your spreadsheets and your systems for your business suck, and you might be losing a ton of money in your paving or your pavement maintenance business. Look, our company recently switched to OneCrew, and it is the only industry-specific, all-in-one platform for paving companies, for pavement maintenance companies, striping companies. It doesn't matter if it's like the sales cycle or if you're estimating or even if you're trying to manage your crew, OneCrew has features for all of that. It is unbelievably effective. So if right now you're doing a lot of your estimating on spreadsheets, and at the end of the day or the end of the year, you don't even know if you're making a lot of money, I guarantee you OneCrew will help you. It is so easy to make more money with this software. You'll love it. Here's the best part. Listeners of this show get $500 off of the setup fee if you go to getonecrew.com/stripeit. $500 off of your setup fee. Take a free demo and have a look for yourself, man. getonecrew.com/stripeit. To boil everything I just said into one sentence, don't be lazy, train your people properly against a procedure, and don't get annoyed when you ask them to do something that you haven't done a good enough job to show them. Boom, shots fired. You like that? Pew, pew, pew. All right, I feel very strongly about that one. Okay, so let's say that is not the issue with an employee, okay? Let's say they have the skills, they know how to do the thing, but for some reason, they're still not doing it, okay? This would be the second part of my employee triangle. This is an awareness issue, okay? Does the employee know that I have to do this? So this is really, really, like, it sounds basic, but you'd be shocked, especially when you get into like newer positions that you've never had before. Maybe it's an office manager or an estimator or a salesperson. The first time you hire those positions, you kind of have to start from scratch. And I almost guarantee you're going to do it wrong the first time. And that's fine. Like, hopefully the employees that you hire, you tell them that, hey, I've never hired an office manager before, so we're going to kind of build it as we go down the road. And people are usually cool with that, especially younger employees. They get it. They're like, that's fine. Some people love the opportunity to help you build it. But if you're in that position and you're hiring someone, in a newer position, it's really easy for you as the business owner who is constantly thinking about the business from the top level down. You can see everything that needs to happen. You read the books, you listen to the podcasts, you know what needs to be done, but your employee doesn't. And I see this a lot with like office manager type positions. A business owner can sometimes be really frustrated that somebody in the office isn't emailing customers in the time frame that they're supposed to, or they're filing things in the storage system the wrong way, or the salesperson is not updating their numbers correctly. Those things probably, in some cases anyways, are not going to be a skill issue. They might simply not know that it's expected of them. And so your job as the employer is to remember that you are looking at the business from a 30,000 foot view all the time. Like, you guys you just know what has to happen, right? You see the full picture and you think about it. And sometimes that vision of what you know has to happen doesn't make it down to the people. And so again, I see this online, like business owners are like, man, these people just don't get it. Maybe they don't get it because you didn't explain it to them. Like, this is part of your job. So thankfully, as far as the 3 things on the triangle go, I think awareness is probably the easiest one to solve. And you know how you solve it? You ask it as a question. Hey, person, I noticed that you didn't follow up with that customer in 72 hours like I thought you were going to. Can I ask you, is there a reason why you didn't? And at that point, they're going to be like, they'll give you the honest truth, right? You've already called them out on the issue. So they're going to say, I didn't feel like it, which is not ideal. I was so busy with other things. Or they might say, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. And if they say that, then you can say, oh, my bad. I guess I didn't explain it properly. Let me show you what the expectation is and why we do this. Email a customer every 72 hours. Whatever the thing is, like as an employer, you ask it as a question like, hey, notice this didn't happen. Is there a reason? Or notice you did it this way. Is there a reason? They might not know. And then you can just solve that just in one conversation. And then you can be like, cool, if you do it this way, here's what happens. We'll be a lot better and we'll all make more money. And everyone's just happy. Dream world. So those are the bottom parts of the triangle. Skills. That is something the employer provides via training to the employee. Awareness is, again, the onus is on the employer. Make sure that your employee actually knows what their job is. So if you're annoyed that you're not getting the output from an employee that you want, maybe they just don't know what they're supposed to do. The third and final part, the top of the triangle, is motivation. So it is entirely possible that you have employees who know exactly what they're supposed to do. They have the awareness. They have the skills to do it. They've been shown. They've demonstrated they can do this before, and they still don't do it. That's really frustrating. That is a motivation issue. Now, of all three things on the employee triangle of truth, man, we got to get this on like a shirt. Employee triangle of truth. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Of all the three things on the triangle, there is still a role to play here with employers, and it's culture. Because fundamentally, bold opinion here, I don't think you can teach an employee to be motivated, ever. I think motivation is the one thing that you cannot teach because it comes from inside that person. So if you're trying to, what I'm saying is, I'm not suggesting that you can't inspire your people, obviously. Like that's a massive part of being the leader of a company is your job is to inspire the people, show them this is where the company's going, lead them there, and inspire them to take action to help you get the company to where it's going. That never changes. But at the end of the day, if somebody doesn't want it, you can bang your head against a desk, like sometimes literally, like going, what is going on? Like, how come this person won't do this thing? Because they're just not motivated. So culture matters when it comes to your motivation of your employees. So what does that look like? What am I talking about? It means that over the course of your business, you will hire people who sometimes just want the job and the paycheck. And that's totally fine. Legit. If they're willing, if they've got the skills, then they want to do the job and they're motivated to clock in, clock out, get the job done. Those are great people to have. Maybe it's not the greatest fit for your organization, or maybe that's exactly the person you need, right? That person doesn't need to be super motivated because they're going to stay in their lane and just do their job. Other times, though, as a business owner, you might be wanting someone who shows a lot of initiative, who is willing to push themselves out of their comfort zone, who is actually even willing to learn new skills, right? Who's willing to go do jobs on their own after being shown how to do it. Not everyone is like that, but some people are. And the way that you can motivate some people to be like that is you explain to them, ideally before you even hire them, this is the kind of individual we're looking for in this position, right? So I'm looking for someone who is willing to grow with the role and eventually take on a foreman job. Or I'm, if it's a sales thing, I'm looking for someone who doesn't need to be handed 100 leads on day one. They can just go out and get their own leads and they can drive new business themselves. Whatever you're looking for, whatever that vision is that you have in your brain for your company, explain it to your people. Like, show them this is what you're looking for. Because if they don't know what you're looking for and they don't really see the vision, they might not be that motivated. Okay? So can't stress enough. You can't train people to be motivated, but there are things you can do in the culture of your company to build it. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that I do. Number one, anyone who works at our company at Laser Pavement, anyone, fills in this form that's called How I Want to Be Employed. Okay. It's a Google form. It cost me $0 to make. It's probably like, I've done a lot of smart things, a lot of stupid things. This is one of the smarter things I've done, was making this form. It's got like 10 questions on it. And I give it to people before they start, sometimes even before we give them a job offer. And I say, like, fill in this form, and it's got questions on there about Like, what are your professional goals? What are your personal goals? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What ticks you off at work? How do you want to be rewarded? Do you want compensation? Do you want time off? It's those kinds of questions. And what I'm trying to do before somebody even works at Laser Pavement is get inside their mind and understand what motivates this person. Because even the employees who are like appear to be the worst of the worst and are not motivated at all, everyone is motivated by something. So you can't teach that to someone, but you can sure do a good job of understanding what motivates that person and give them an employment opportunity that fits within their desire. Okay. So on this form, like I have some people that write, they want stability. So in one word, what's the thing they want from employment? They want a stable position. They don't want to take a lot of risks. They got a family at home, or they've had a history of losing jobs or being laid off or whatever. And so somebody like that is not someone that you're, generally speaking, going to want to challenge with a lot of new or difficult tasks, because they're not looking for that. They're looking for a more stable position. So you can still employ these people and give them a great job and a framework to succeed, depending on the position, right? Whereas some people might put on that form, I should know this because I look at these forms all the time. I think that one of the more common words that people write is opportunity. Some people write challenge. So if you get a form as an employee and you're like, what's the one thing I want the most? I want an opportunity. Okay, like what does that mean? We might have a conversation about that. Like, do you want an opportunity to like grow and make more money? Because we can do that, right? We can give you an opportunity to grow and make more money by increasing the skills that you have and investing in you to learn them. And it will push you out of your comfort zone. But if you do that, we can work with that. And so if you identify those types of people and you provide an opportunity for them to work inside what motivates them, you won't have to find ways to motivate people because you've already found it before they were even hired. So I think that's a huge, huge thing. And then there's so much other things you can do too. We've really struggled with like team meetings at our company in the last like year, I'd say year and a half. We used to have a team meeting like every week when the company was pretty small. And like that was an opportunity for people in the company from the lowest levels right up to ownership to feel like they're part of the company and the direction of where it's going. So if you can involve people in your company, even if there's only like 2 or 3 of you, have a weekly team meeting, off-site, go to Starbucks, whatever. Go sit down and talk about what's happening in the business from the perspective of the owner. Ask questions about what the employees want to see. What tools do you want on the job site? What resources do you want? Like those kinds of conversations build up the motivation in employees because they see that you care about what their opinion is on stuff. So no, you can't teach motivation, but you can sure do a really good job of building an environment and a culture where people are naturally bought in and want to be a part of it. So that is the employee triangle of truth. If you are listening to this and you're like, I've got this employee, his name's Matt. No, he's not Matt. His name's John. And he's just like, dude just doesn't get it. Analyze him against the triangle. Like figure out which of these 3 things is it? Because if it's skills, dude, you can train that. Like you can provide the skills. And it might be a tough pill for you to swallow if you didn't train a person correctly. If John's out there struggling and he feels like he doesn't get the training, you might have to swallow your pride and be like, I feel like I showed him, but whatever. Let's create a document and I'll show you against the SOP or the video or the document, whatever. Maybe John has got an issue that he doesn't even know that's part of his job. Maybe John doesn't know that he's supposed to keep the trailer clean every shift. Maybe you just assume that he should be doing that. Ask him, hey, notice you didn't keep the trailer clean. Is there a reason? Oh, sorry, bro. I had no idea. Okay, well, now you know, right? And then you can go from there. Or maybe it's a motivation issue. Maybe John has the skills. He knows what he's doing, but you might have a bad culture fit. Or maybe you just can do something to increase the buy-in from your employees. That's a tough one, but you gotta walk the line and try and be careful as to what that looks like. Always put in the effort to build a good culture so that people are naturally motivated. So I challenge you, listeners, if you have employees, maybe this is the first year where you're going to hire employees. That's kind of exciting. Next time you have an employee and you're like, I'm not getting what I want from them, stack them up against the triangle and see if you can find out what the issue is and then work with them because that's what a good leader does. They motivate, they make sure that people know what they're going to do, and they provide the skills for them to succeed. Boom. Triangle of truth. That's it. Keep your stripes hot. We'll talk to you next week.